everyone, this is Steven Chen, and today I'm going to be talking about how I tune my snare drum. My snare drum is a Yamaha Steve Jordan signature snare drum. It's a 13-inch diameter by 6.5-inch depth. It's a 4-ply maple shell with 2-ply reinforcement rings on both edges, top and bottom. And I'm using the Remo Coated Ambassador on top and the Remo Hazy Ambassador for the resonant side. The first step is to bring the drum to finger tension. This means tightening each tension rod as tight as you can using only your fingers. This gives us a reasonably even tension on both heads to start with. It doesn't really matter which side you start on, and in this video I'm starting on the resonant side. The next step is to give some tension to each head. I usually bring the drum heads up about 5 half turns at each lug past finger tension. Then I check quickly with my fingers to see that the tone is the same at each lug and adjust accordingly. And then I repeat those first 2 steps on the other side. Once I bring the batter side to finger tension, I give a quick push to the center of the drum. Then I check to make sure that all the lugs are still finger tight, and if any have slipped, to bring them up to finger tension. Don't do this step on the resonant side though, because pushing on a head that thin may cause it to warp or even break. At this point, the drum should sound something like this. Now I use a tool called the drum dial on the batter head. What this allows me to do is check the tympanic pressure at each tension rod to make sure that the drum's surface tension is perfectly even at every single point. I usually aim for a reading of 91 at each lug on the batter head to start with, which is pretty high. The biggest mistake I see people doing with the drum dial is going solely off of the drum dial's reading when they're tensioning the drum. Each lug affects the other, and if you decide to tune one lug all the way to whatever number you're aiming for, when you go to tune up the rest of the lugs, the number you originally got will change on the first lug. To avoid this, you have to tighten the drum head from finger tension evenly and get in the general range, maybe within 2 to 3 numbers of the reading you're aiming for, and then start using the drum dial to fine-tune each lug to get it to where you want it. Drum dial also offers a digital version of their tool, which allows for easier reading if you want to avoid straining your neck like I am with the analog version. Now it's time to put the snare on. Flip the drum over so the resonant side is facing up, and take the snare wire and lay it on the drum like so. There are a few different materials you can use to hold the snare wire onto the drum. I use nylon cord because it's the most sensitive material I've found because of its elasticity. Other commonly found options are plastic or woven fabric straps, which are a lot more durable than nylon strings, but are not as sensitive. To start, you'll want to offset the snare wire a little bit closer toward the butt plate side. This is because as you tighten the resonant head and the snare strainer, the snare wire will begin drifting towards the strainer side. The end goal is to have the snare wire perfectly centered between the rim. This will give you the best possible response no matter how tight or loose your snare wire is, and if you're aiming for a loose or tight sound, you'll want to plan ahead accordingly. For now, you can expect to have to adjust the snare wire placement a few times before getting the sound you want and finding that sweet spot. The drum should now probably sound like this, and the snare wire should be pretty loose. Tighten the snare as you need to. Now turn the drum over again and begin tightening the resonant side until you find a response that you like. Check how the drum sounds now and then by turning it over and hitting the batter side of the stick. Once you're satisfied with the sound you have, turn the drum over and recenter the snare wire, and repeat the steps as necessary. I don't use the drum dial on the resonant side for the same reason I don't seat the head with my hand like I do on the batter side. Because the resonant side head is so thin, the slightest amount of pressure can result in warping, which can over time lead to breakage. If the snare sounds choked, try turning the drum over and tightening the resonant side lugs closest to the snare wire by a half turn each. After a little bit more tweaking, this is what I got my snare drum to sound like.
One of my
favorite drummers, Benny Greb, has a trick of detuning the two lugs closest to him by a full turn each. This gives a really nice depth to the snare drum and adds an extra punch that I really like. After a few final tweaks, this is what my tuned snare drum sounds like.